Hello and welcome to Theatre and Tonic, where I am joined by one of the choir of men. So, hey, Matt, can you start off by just introducing yourself and let us know a little bit about you?
So I'm Matt Beveridge, and I play the romantic in the Choir of Man on the West End currently. I've been with the show for 4.5 years, closing in on sort of about 600 performances. So I'm kind of a Choir of Man old hand.
Brilliant. So, where kind of did theatre start for you then?
I grew up around it. So my mum always did amateur dramatics, and my dad was a singing teacher to the stars, which was interesting.
Not too much pressure
And then
then.
I say again.
Not too much pressure then.
No, but like it was interesting later on actually because I think I put it down through teenage years because it wasn't cool. And then in my late teens I followed it. I followed a girlfriend into a show actually, and kind of rediscovered my love for it and showing off really. And then my dad and my mum were both hugely influential in my decision to sort of think about drama school and gave me some talks about, the insider knowledge of the whole thing and have been a pivotal part of everything ever since. So yeah, and then I got into Central School of Speech and Drama on my first try, thanks to a wonderful man named Jonathan Goodwin that I worked with back in Sussex, and I haven't looked back. I love it.
And did you kind of find it hard though when you were coming out into the professional world to kind of nail your career? Was it really difficult? And what kind of did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, it was really hard. I had an amazing drama school experience. I worked really hard and I did very well. And then when I signed, I was like, right, I'm going to be a star, and that didn't happen at all. It was sort of like green light, green light, green light, green light, and then I left drama school, and it was like a red light, and the roads went in opposite directions, and you feel a bit like lost. Really, I didn't work for my first year. Um, and my first job I did for free on at the Union Theatre in London, which well, I mean, it's a different, beautiful, small space, but the original space was across the road. Um, and and then it just started to roll a little bit, and I've been lucky enough to sporadically work. And then in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, things have really started to change for me, and Choir of Man's been an incredible, incredible stepping stone for that. So so yeah, like that really.
And obviously, you said that you've had quite a long involvement in Choir of Man. So, kind of, where did that begin? How did you kind of find out about the Choir of Man, and what was it that initially drew you to it?
Well, as an actor, we have agents. I got a call about going to do it. I had mostly been working in film and TV at that point. So I wasn't sure it was for me, but I thought, I hadn't actually worked for a minute, and I like to meet people. I think that's always a good thing to do. And when I went into my audition, I firstly I absolutely fell in love with the team. We have the nicest group of people to work for. Really, truly, like it's rare you get to work with people that are as kind-hearted and caring. Um, so there was a lovely energy in the room. But I was auditioning on a day where there was an insane storm, and I sang "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen. And as I sang, "I'm a shooting star flashing through the sky," lightning hit the building, and the whole room shook. Like really, truly, like everyone jumped under tables, thought it was an earthquake type shook. So I stopped, and it was this weird moment where I thought, well, either I'm going to get this, or I'm definitely not going to get this. And then I was offered a job with them as a swing initially. So I was a swing for the first time. And then I got an amazing opportunity to sort of show what I could do a little bit more in that rehearsal process. And then I was swing for the original cast while they did the first US tour. And then I joined the gang and I started doing romantic. And I put a lot of work in and it's gone really well. And ever since I've sort of been doing the show in all the most amazing places as part of a cast that have kind of led the way, and it's been really, really it's been a really, really special thing. Like we've, played Sydney Opera House and sold that out, and we did uh, sold out US tour, and we've done Adelaide and Korea and Europe and then London and now West End. And I mean, the boys have done, Edinburgh and Coventry and all these incredible places. So it's been a very special journey for sure.
And what do you think, like, why do you think that happened then? Because obviously for a lot of people were like, what is it about the Choir Man that kind of made it go that way? What do you think made it so explosive, and what made it become this phenomenon that it is, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very different to a lot of stuff. I think that's something people kind of resonate with, where you kind of come expecting like a musical, and actually what you get is like the polar opposite. I think one of my favorite things I was actually saying this morning is when you burst forward, because our opening song is "Welcome to the Jungle" by Guns N' Roses, and I think people come to see the choir of man, and think, oh, I'll go and see a nice choir of boys and see what happens, and then you get smacked in the face with some beer on your lap and "Welcome to the Jungle" by Guns N' Roses, and it's this incredible reaction of like, what is happening? But then the show has so much more to it. I do think the way it is led by Nick Doodson is pretty special. Nick is he's one of the good people, and he governs with love, and I think that feeds through into the show. It's been taken on by Hearts and Hook and Global Musicals, and all of their team do the same. And while it is in a small theatre now, the message is big. We have this message about inclusivity, and we have this message about, come in. And it doesn't matter what your creed, your background, your religion, race, culture, it just doesn't matter. It's about whoever you are coming and being a part of our family and having a good time. And you can come and you can watch songs and be like, that was a lot of fun, and go home, or you can connect to something a little bit deeper. And I think being a part of something that has a really beautiful message, a part of something that I've genuinely made some of the closest friends I've ever had. Two of the boys I work with, two of them became two of my groomsmen.
Wow.
My groomsman is now in it. My brother's been in the show with me. My blood has been in the show with me, and that translates on stage. And I think it's a really lucky thing to get to do when our business can be really difficult, and we get to just spread some joy and some positivity and some nice affirmation. And I think something resonated in me, and I've had an absolute blast doing it. And I think I really believe in the message it sends, so I've stuck around.
You're staying there forever now. That's it.
That's my job forever. That's it. I'm not doing anything else. Choir of man.
Too right. And I think, like you say, it does touch on some really important messages, and there's some really beautiful moments in it. Like, when they talk about home and what home is to you, where you're all from, there's a real element of reality there that a lot of productions don't have. You're not, although yes, you're playing like a romantic, these kind of characters, it's very much about you, isn't it? And your kind of personality coming through.
Absolutely it is. Yeah. I think it's again, something that's different about it is it's one of the only shows that you aren't playing as much of a character. We have names, the character names, romantic, joker, the hard man, barman, handyman, which is a tapper. Tapper's amazing. Pub bore, all these names. They're more just things to distinguish each other on stage, but you are offering something of yourself. And as you said with the home speech, it's a moment where we really peel back the layer that you're expecting to see in a show of any kind, that fourth wall, and we lift it, and we talk about very truthful, very poignant things in our own lives, just to talk about what home means, because home is so much more than bricks and mortar. And I think while it is a different medium to use, I think it's one of the things that people leave the show the most touched by, because it's not something you see every day. People to peel back their own skin and show you a part of themselves. And I think that's something people really resonate with and go home remembering.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, I know that I saw Choir Man like post-COVID. So I think that added like a whole different layer to it, didn't it? I think when we came out of the pandemic, Choir Man was kind of like a whole different it was a good way of reflecting on that time, didn't it? On these communities that have kind of been lost in that time.
Yeah, hugely hit by things like COVID. I think as a society grows, so many things are hit, and then COVID just exacerbated that massively. And we say in the show that that since COVID, we're some 2,000 less pubs. That it's obscene. That's not just places that people go to get a beer. That's where friends meet. That's people's livelihoods. That's memories and things that have happened. And I mean, I got married. Had my reception at our local pub because they're such good friends of ours, and they're these lovely people that did this amazing thing for us. And were that pub to shut down, it would be heartbreaking. But that's the reality of what COVID did. So I think it definitely has taken even more of a poignancy.
Yeah, and then as well, I guess this production is, it is a jukebox musical. It does have this fantastic score, but it does obviously also explore like contemporary masculinity and the way that men kind of interact and support each other. So do you think that's such an important message as well to put out there? And how have you reflected on that personally?
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, definitely. Yes. In a short word, I think it's an incredibly important message because we're asking those questions now. What is masculinity? What is femininity? And I think the thing that's nice about Choir of Man, we do get asked, like, why no girls? But I think it isn't necessarily Choir of boys, it's Choir of mankind. And I think we are in a process where we're ever evolving. I know Ben Norris, who wrote the words for the poetry, is, I mean, he's an amazing human being, honestly, but he really cares about the progression of the jungle as well, not just what it was, but what it is becoming and what it will become, as all of us do. I think the chat about masculinity is really important because there's so many questions around it, and it's really important that people of all varieties of masculine are in the same place together, enjoying each other's company and sharing their different versions of what masculinity is. And I think what's cool about the show is musically, we do numbers not just by guys or bands, we do numbers by girls and by, and like my main song in the show is Hello. I sing Hello by Adele, and I sing it, I mean, a tone below her key, and sort of feel maybe the most girly I usually feel, but it's a really important and powerful message, I think, and I think we've all over the most recent years questioned it and asked ourselves what it means to us. And then it's the most special thing when you feel like, I know we introduced into the show that my character is homosexual and is a gay lad, and it's just mentioned like it's normal. And it's the people that have been in the show previously or people that had seen the show previously that had now had that introduced. So many have made an effort to come forward and say how much they love to see that and resonated with or felt seen by that small moment. And we're open doors to anybody and everybody. It really doesn't matter to us at all. But it's a very beautiful thing. When I was, how long in, 3.5 years into a show, to make that small change and have so many people feel something so positive just by a small acknowledgement. And I think as we do that in the show, we're trying to do that more and more. And I don't know if, I guess that you have seen, but in the jungle, we have all the things hung on the walls. This new run, we've added lots of extra things all about inclusivity and love is love, and lots of rainbows and happy things that hopefully when people come in, it makes them feel even more at home,
Yeah, lovely. And Quiet Man, for me, and I think you all agree, the audience are such an integral part of that experience. So obviously there's a lot of unpredictability that comes with that. So how have you handled that? Because I mean, I've been a few times and the last time I went, it was very loud and rowdy.
Okay.
So how do you handle that?
Sometimes easier than other times. When were you last in, out of interest?
I'm trying to think, last October?
Oh, so early on in our run were you in? Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, we just try to manage it with kindness for the most part. I think We have made some small adjustments for this run because in the last West End run we did, we definitely found that it got pretty wild, which can be very, very difficult as a performer for concentration, for continuity, for all of the things. But having said that, it is also part and parcel of what we're trying to do. So I think as you get more and more experience in the jungle, you learn how to deal with it more and more. We have the most amazing poets who are all very quick-witted and decent humans that know how to, with a smile and a wink, shut that whole thing down. But yeah, it can be a lot. It can definitely be pretty bouncy in there. But then actually, we're finding this run we're sort of attracting much more of the theatre audiences and people that come to really try and enjoy theatre. And it's been an adjustment to find like quite quiet audiences that are like a very polite crowd.
Pleasant.
And at the end, they enjoy it massively. You're like, oh, okay, great, amazing, thank you. So you kind of take it and roll with it. It's all part of the show that we put on and trying to get people involved, and yeah, it's fun usually.
Yeah, it is a really fun production. And as well, there's a lot of beer involved as well, my favourite part of it. So how do you work around things like spillages and then also maintaining drinking a lot? Because that is a skill. Like, how are you managing that?
Well, I hate to break the magic, but it is non-alcoholic beer.
Damn it.
We tried with real beer, but it went very badly because alcohol on a slippery stage and trying to sing like that, not only is it very dehydrating, but it makes you burp, and that can be quite difficult. So we immediately sort of made that adjustment to non-alcoholic. We give out real beer, but what we drink is non-alcoholic. And spillages happen, it's sort of we really like it because it makes you feel like a real pub. Like we have people on stage at the start and they all spill beer everywhere and we just clean it up. We have more dishcloths and towels in and around the pub or the bar, the table, under chairs and stuff than you can imagine, just to make sure that we can always stay on top of it. But some nights it gets gets a little bit more hairy. We've had quite a lot of falling.
Part of the package there, I guess.
It's part of the show, yes, just roll with it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So if there was a other character that you could play in Choir of Man, who would you choose?
Well, as I've been swing now, I've played a few of the other parts. I always wanted to do Hard Man. That was my I just think it's a really cool track, and You're the Voice is, I mean, it's just an absolute anthem. And performing it in Sydney and Adelaide, you do not understand until you've sung it in Australia. My God. So I was always really excited to play that, but I've done that one now. So I would do the poet. I would love to stand at the front and say the words that have been such a huge part of my life for the last 5 years, and put my spin on them and from what they mean to me. But yeah, definitely, I'd love to. Poet would be my next one for sure.
And what do you hope for the future of Choir of Man? Because I see it as, I'd love it to go on a tour. I'd love it to go on a UK tour, because I think smaller venues, like really intimate venues, would really lap it up. So is that something that you could see for Choir of Man as well?
Definitely. I think the future is really bright. I think what's been fun for me to have been a part of it for so long is that I've done the performances to like 30 people in a huge theatre, and they really like it, but you're like, that was tough. And then I've done the performances where we've sold out like 3,000, and it's a very special thing in all capacities, in small theatres and huge theatres. And I think a UK tour could definitely happen. I think it's been something on the cards, but we wanted to do the West End first.
Yeah.
If it was on the cards, But we're still growing. It's still growing massively. The show's going back to Adelaide next week. I think it's going out to Australia for another month to do Adelaide Fringe again, just because it's one of our roots and we love it. There's talk of other huge productions happening. We've had some knocks from America again, which is pretty exciting. And hopefully we just, stay in our new home at the Arts Theatre and keep selling out, because it's a lovely, intimate little space. And every night's just a little bit different, and I don't see us going anywhere. I have to say, I really think
No, I don't think you
a funny
will.
little show that started at a Fringe festival is now really becoming something, and that's what I hope for it, for the people that created it, and for anyone that ends up joining the jungle, because it's changed my life, and I think everyone that comes in, it kind of stays with you a little bit, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So one final question then for you.
Yeah.
Why should people come and see the Choir of Man if they haven't already?
Oh, because it's the best pub gig you'll ever go to. It's just such a good time, and I think if you aren't quite sure what to see, but you feel like having a lot of fun, it's the absolute perfect show. And if you've never been to the theatre before, it's the perfect show. We have so many newbies, people that bring their partners and don't want to be there, and by the end are screaming and dancing and um you know, come for the message, come listen to some really, really talented lads getting to show off, because it's really amazing some of the boys that some of the things they can do. You know, I said about our tapper, but he's unreal. Both of them are unbelievable boys. And all of the ones that have come before you, just like, how are you doing it? Musicians, singers, the lot really, and that, and if not, come have a beer, because who doesn't like a beer?
So, right, thank you so much, Matt, for chatting.
Oh, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.